Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Melanie Jones, and I serve as the chair for the United Way of Greater Greensboro's Women United Affinity Group. Women United members are community leaders who are focused on empowering and inspiring women to lead community-wide change that ends poverty. Membership is comprised of caring citizens who contribute $1,000 or more annually to the United Way of Greater Greensboro. We are eager to help our community. Our focus and initiatives include elevating United Way's focus on supporting individuals along a path to employment that moves their household out of poverty, empowering women in our community to overcome challenges and barriers to succeed. Specifically, we help local women and families move from poverty to financial stability by offering skills, training, coaching, and mentoring. We are busy, and we truly know that our investments are making an impact, and I invite you to join our efforts. We are so excited that you joined us today. We are even more excited to hear from one of our strategic partners today who will offer their insights into how their organization supports United Way's strategy that is creating pathways to employment. Excuse me. We'll even discover the latest outcomes from United Way's very own Tracy McLemore, who serves as the Chief Community Impact Officer, and she will also lead us through some Q&A. But before we get started, I want to recognize VIA for their generous sponsorship of United Way's Theory of Change series. Thank you, VIA Corporation. Now, please join me in welcoming Lee Jones, a fellow Women United Cabinet member, who will give us a brief overview of United Way's strategy.
Thank you so much, Melanie, and thank you to everyone who has taken time out of their day to join us. As you have just heard from Melanie, I'm going to just take us through just a brief overview of our strategy. We feel it's important to explain all the things that we do and how we do it because we want you to fully understand the impact that you are making. We also want to hear from you during today's event. So as Melanie mentioned, we will have time for questions at the end. So please enter your questions in the chat and we will do our best to get to those later in the program. I think we do a great job with our messaging and also with our, sharing our work with the community, but we love these lunch and learns. It's a great chance to share information on a more personal level. You may already be aware that United Way creates, connects, and leads community partnerships that equip and empower people to leave poverty. But today I want to share a little bit more about what that means and why United Way is so focused on the issue of poverty. In Guilford County alone, we have 69,000 people living in poverty, and 52,000 of these individuals live in what we consider to be the United Way of Greater Greensboro's area of service. How do we define poverty? Well, actually, the federal government defines poverty for us. A couple of examples of poverty thresholds are a single person making $14,580 or less per year, or a family of four making $30,000 or less per year. If you think about it, these are extremely low thresholds and really not even realistic. To put it more into context for our local area, in Guilford County, a family of four would have to make a combined income of $66,000 to be what is considered self-sufficient. In other words, that same family would need to make $66,000 to purchase their basic necessities, food, clothing, and shelter, paying the power bill, without receiving any subsidized assistance. Guilford County Schools, likewise, reports a student poverty rate of 62.9%. If you take into consideration that there is a total student population of nearly 70,000 students, that means 44,000 of our local youth are living in poverty. That is an astonishing and heartbreaking number. What else does this mean in our community? Adults are working 2 jobs and still not making ends meet. Children are going to bed hungry and arriving at school hungry, and you can imagine the impact this has on their ability to concentrate and their ability to learn. It is our goal to break this cycle of 2-generational poverty, and this will make it, our community better for not only these individuals living in poverty, but for all of us. Thus, United Way creates, connects, and leads community partnerships that equip and empower people to leave poverty.
Lewis was saying that wanted it to be that we get out of school, but
anyway, moving on. Every year, how does this work? Every year we have local nonprofits in the community that make applications to receive grants to join United Way in its mission. We also likewise have a group of local volunteers who review these grants every year and make decisions about the best of the best programs that will align with our strategic programming. Last year, United Way of Greater Greensboro created 31 strategic partnerships and initiatives that are currently supporting 61 programs throughout our community. But we're not just raising money and passing it out. Our first step in evaluating a program and initiative is deciding which arm of our strategy this program might fit into. We have two types of grants: poverty relieving grants and poverty ending grants. Poverty relieving grants are given to those programs and partners who help people find a path out of poverty and stay on that path. Poverty ending grants are given to those partners who offer people clear ways to increase their income above the poverty level. These grants are specifically helping youth to transition from cradle to career. They're helping adults land good jobs and increase their income. And some programs are just providing access to basic needs and to healthcare to make all these other goals a little more accessible. Not to mention our nationally recognized Family Success Centers and Guilford Success Network. We're bundling services and eliminating barriers to make it easier for people to access the support that they need. United Way strategy is also focused on helping our community achieve what we call the BOLD goal. This goal was developed by a diverse group of 2,000 stakeholders representing multiple backgrounds, and this BOLD goal gives our community something to rally behind. The BOLD goal is exactly this. As a community united in equity and lasting solutions, 3,000 households in Greater Greensboro will leave generational poverty by the year 2030. Since we announced this BOLD goal back in the year 2021, we have added some new data tracking elements, and we have also set some pacing goals. We have 3 pacing goals. The first pacing goal was to help 50 households leave poverty by the end of this year, by the end of 2023. Second goal is to help 350 households to leave poverty by the end of next year, 2024. And lastly, 1,000 households to leave poverty by the end of 2025. Thanks to your support, I'm happy to report that we have far exceeded our pacing goal for 2023. Remember, that goal was to help 50 households leave generational poverty. Well, currently we are at a total of 121 households that have left poverty. This is cause for celebration. So a big round of applause for all of you and your support and all the work at United Way. So this is all great news, but the work is just beginning. Based on the self-sufficiency standards that I mentioned earlier, there are still thousands more in our community that need our continued support. Therefore, thankfully, we have the leadership of many volunteers serving in many roles that work to support our efforts. We also have a specific strategy, and we have extremely capable partners who are helping us to achieve our goals. And speaking of extremely capable partners, I'm now going to hand this over to Iris Day, who will give us a little more insight into United Way's strategy. And Iris, I think you're muted. There we go.
There we go. Thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone, and thank you for using your lunch hour to join in on this conversation today. I'm so inspired and excited to play a role in United Way's strategy to end local poverty. As the program director of the Community Offender Resource Program at One Step Further, I am one of the many local strategic partners at United Way, working with United Way to address poverty. More specifically, I am working to support their goals of providing pathways to employment. So before I tell you more about One Step Further and what we do, I want to explain a little bit more about why we are so proud to be a part of United Way's efforts to address poverty head on. As Lee just mentioned, one of the United Way strategic focus areas is helping adults land jobs and increase their income. There are many layers that focus, and one step further is one of 11 partners offering 12 programs that drive results in this area. Collectively, we are working to address employment and financial stability in a variety of ways. Our collective programming is helping adults get on the path and move over the poverty line through employment, educational attainment, safeguarding their income, and asset building. United Way is working with partners who help adults to gain employment and increase income so that the household moves out of poverty. But this United Way strategy isn't simply focused on helping someone land a job, which is a monumental achievement in and of itself. United Way wants households to maintain their progress by safeguarding their income and growing assets for financial stability. So United Way invests in partnerships that connect people to services and support that help them find employment, achieve educational advancement, grow their assets, reduce monthly costs, and obtain benefits. Also, United Way provides child care scholarships so that children are in high quality early care centers and while the adults work and attend school. So all of these things are working together in United Way's focus area of helping adults land jobs and increase income. And like I said, one step further is proud to play its role in this strategy. United Way's partnership with us is specific to our Community Offender Resource Program. So this program, in essence, it puts people to work who are experiencing barriers to employment. And those barriers could include a criminal history, of course, long gaps in employment, lack of social skills and soft skills like effective communication and conflict resolution, lack of transportation, of course, and then lack of childcare. So all of those things are addressed when we work with the participants in our program. So we operate under a larger auspices of One Step Further. And One Step Further is a human service organization that's been around for, as a matter of fact, we're celebrating our 40-year anniversary. But to narrow it down and keep us on track about the employment program. So the name of the program is the Workplace Survival Skills and Job Readiness Program. That's a lot to say. So we just refer to it as WSJR. And all of our funding comes from United Way. All right. So our referral sources include places like criminal court for those who have, criminal history, child support court, for those who have been unemployed for a while and fallen behind in their child support payments. We are helping parents get employed to support their children. We get some referrals from probation. Of course, one of the conditions of probation is that you maintain full-time employment. So we are partnering with probation and taking referrals from them as well as a few other community agencies. I know we've worked with IRC. We are endeavoring to work with the Department of Social Services. As a matter of fact, once I leave this meeting, I have another meeting with the Department of Social Services so that we can talk about how we can partner together. All right. So basically, it's a participant participates in 3 tiers. The first tier is, of course, the intake process, and that's where we gather all of the information about the person, the individual, get a hold on what their employment barriers have been, try to get a feel of what their strengths and weaknesses are, their interests as far as employment goes. And we collect all of that information so that we'll have the information that we need to help them and assist them in building winning resumes and, assisting them with improving their interviewing skills. Before they even get to that part, though, all participants are required to attend a 40-hour job skills course. And this course just touches on areas I mentioned: assessing strengths, goal setting, basic oral and written communication to help in those soft skill areas, customer service, conflict resolution and emotional management, money management, of course, is important, because once they get the job, we want them to be able to, spend the money accordingly to sustain that household. Balancing responsibilities, workplace communication, career planning and advancement, professionalism. So they are receiving, they will complete the course, and upon graduation from the course, they meet one-on-one with an employment specialist who works with them on, like I said, building that winning resume, doing mock interviews to improve their interviewing skills, finding out, and honing in on their strengths and their interests, so that we can take those into consideration when we're matching them to their prospective employer. And lastly, once they've been placed with an employer, our second chance employer, I need to say this too: our employment specialist works so hard at creating the network of second chance employers. So we already have an employer pool waiting for our graduates. And once they have completed the class and worked one-on-one with the employment specialist, then it's time to match them with an employer. And those salaries range anywhere from $11 an hour to $18 an hour. We actually had someone placed in a position this last quarter in a $22 an hour position. So, we have a wide range of salary ranges there. But after they've been placed in their position, the employment specialist continues to work along with them, because it's not just about getting the job, but it's about maintaining and keeping that job. That's important. So job retention, she checks in with them on a monthly basis to find out if they're experiencing any challenges, if they have, issues with other, their fellow employees, or, may have an issue with a supervisor. She offers strategies to keep conflict down and put their best foot forward. So let me see. After the 9 months, let's get to the numbers. But after they've been placed into the employment position, they are monitored for a total of 9 months. All right. So let's get to some of our statistics here. To date, we have had 45 referrals. 36 have agreed to enroll and start the classes. Of those 36 that enrolled, 29 have successfully completed. And of those 29 who completed, 25 have been placed in jobs that have raised their households above the poverty line. All right. But as you are now aware, our work and outcomes are a part of a broader impact in this community, thanks to United Way, which leads us to our next portion of today's meeting. Please join me in welcoming Tracy McLemore, who will share United Way's latest pathways to employment-related outcomes.
Thank you, Iris. And we appreciate your partnership and commitment tremendously. The truth is, our strategy could not be deployed and our goals could not be achieved without the support of One Step Further and all of our partners. As Iris mentioned, I will share a snapshot of our most recent outcome achievements. Lee said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again. We are not just raising money to pass it out. We are raising money to support strategy that is producing real local outcomes. All United Way funded partners and initiatives are required to produce and report outcomes. And we recently committed to providing our community with outcomes updates twice a year. And in March, we shared our mid-year outcomes. Today, we want to highlight those outcomes related to Women United Focus, which is Pathways to Employment. As Iris mentioned, there are many approaches to support this area and track the progress toward achieving the outcomes. So, what is an outcome? When United Way evaluates its investments, how do we know that we're making an impact, that we are achieving our goals, and that those participating in services are better off? We do so by tracking our outcomes. But first, it may be helpful to define two concepts that are often confused: output and outcome. Outputs say, this is what we do, the activities that we do, how frequently we do them. Outcomes answer the question, so what? Change in knowledge, skill, condition, behavior, or status. These are measured through individual program measures to know that people are better off. So how do we collect our data? We have specific measurable outcomes that we want to see. And each impact area, goal, and strategy has required indicators. Funded programs provide outcomes for the required measures based upon their projections. For example, related to a financial literacy program, the output is that adults with debt and budgeting challenges attend workshops and counseling sessions. The outcome is that they are better off managing their finances. This is indicated by reduced debt and improved credit score. In this example, the program provides progress reports quarterly, as all of our programs do. And these reports include quantitative updates like the number of activities and outputs, status of outcomes through the indicators. In addition, the report would include demographic data of clients served and qualitative data, like the narrative responses and stories about challenges, successes, and changes to program operations. All this information is provided in aggregate, which means that all the data is combined from several measurements and sources, compiled and summarized, which help us to describe and show the outcomes across all of our programs. So at this time, we're over halfway through our 22-23 funding year. So let's take a look at some outcomes so far under employment and financial stability. In keeping with our efforts, you'll notice that we're only showing the outcomes today for those participating living in poverty. I want to move to the other slide, I'm sorry. So, adults are supported along the path to employment that can lift the family out of poverty. What do we mean by job skill training? Interest and skills assessment, testing and counseling, soft and technical skills development, basic skills development, including job assistance, apprenticeships, or internships. Credentials and licenses are relevant to specific careers and beyond high school. Examples include digital literacy badges, quick career certifications, and early childhood eligibility. New employment has the potential for advancement, and childcare scholarship programs are for people on the DSS waitlist for childcare vouchers. Our scholarship assistance supports a two-generation goal approach, and parents can attend school or work while their child receives high-quality early care and education. So looking at employment and financial stability outcomes, we want those households to maintain their progress by safeguarding income and growing assets for financial stability. Savings or assets, such as CCCS, credit and consumer counseling services, and resolving debt issues to increase savings or improving their credit scores. disposable income through benefits or cost reduction, accessing public benefits and income support such as SNAP, SSI Medicaid, or reducing costs of utilities through critical home repairs. I know our audience is ready to ask some questions, and between us all, we will do our best to answer them. Let's take a look at the chat for anyone who may have submitted a question, and we will start with those. If you would like to ask your question verbally, please feel free to unmute yourself and be mindful that others may be trying to speak at the same time. It's the nature of being virtual, but we will do our best. So we are now open for questions. And I see we have a very quiet audience.
Hi, I'm Carrie Jones-Barrow, Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships. I just put a question in the chat, but I also just want to thank Iris. I do work with Iris Day and on, working with her on monitoring outcomes and setting up her program deliverables. So I just want to thank her for all the work that she and her partners do. But the question I put in the chat, Iris, is can you describe for us what kinds of second chance employers you work with? And I also wonder if you have needs for more employers, that perhaps there are some people on the call who could connect with you.
All right, thank you, Carrie, certainly. So we have connected with the janitorial services around, reputable landscaping companies, there's HVAC and plumbing. Let me see what else. CNA and childcare, early childcare. Let me see. We do. There are warehouse opportunities as well, and factories. So those are the kinds of employers that come into mind. I know I didn't name them all, but that's a pretty good representation of who we've connected with. Okay, I see a question. Do we serve individuals that are not justice involved? When we began the program, it was a requirement to have a criminal history. Since then, however, we have opened it up and included individuals who are just who are struggling with employment barriers. So that doesn't necessarily have to be justice involved. The employment barriers that I mentioned earlier, long gaps in employment, lack of transportation, lack of childcare, lack of education. So we work with individuals in those areas too. So yes, they do not have to be court involved at this point.
Iris, I see another question. It says, did you say employees make around $8 to $11 an hour? And what is the hourly rate that supports getting out of poverty? So that sounds like a two group question. So Iris, if you want to take the first one, the $8 to $11, I think your rate was a little bit different.
Yes, it's actually 11 to 18. That's our normal range. And like I said, we've gone as high as 22, I think, but 11 to 18 is the normal range. And the hourly rate that supports getting out of poverty depends on the number of people in the household. So that is kind of say for a person, a single person household. If they have a $15 an hour job, it's still, not a great income, but it does raise that household above the poverty level.
Yes, I think I just want to ask one of my team members if you would put the link in for the FPL, for the federal FPL. That way, if anyone's interested, they'll be able to see per household size, the income that is identified that moves that shows a family that is in poverty, so to speak. And our interest is moving folks just above the federal poverty line, 100% federal poverty. And another question is, do these jobs offer insurance?
Some of them do. Some of them have benefits. I think actually most of the jobs offer benefits. There are a couple like the landscaping companies and the janitorial services that do not offer benefits.
Great question. We have posted the FPL. Anybody else have any other questions, comments?
May I ask a question of Iris? And I know a little bit more about your program, but you follow people for about 9 months. And so when people are starting at $11 to $18 an hour, what's been your experience with folks being able to move up and advance at their jobs and maybe move on to better paying positions?
Yes, thank you, Carrie. We have actually had a lot of our participants who started, at the beginner level of income and have, gotten promoted. I know, just off the top of my head, I know, several who have started at entry level and have gotten promoted even more than once, and their salaries have increased. And I can say that although we can't take all the credit, but I do just want to toot our horn and say, in part that is because we continue to track and offer additional support.
Excellent, thank you. Another great question. I see a comment. Says we're excited to also have partnered with Iris to produce a video this year that will share the power of our collaborative efforts. So we're asking everyone to be on the lookout for that. I'm not seeing any further questions. Thank you, Layla. I have a question. Iris, can you talk a little bit more about tracking progress? Renee Kraft has said that she finds that oftentimes folks who move out of poverty are sometimes reluctant to continue to talk about it or talk about their experience.
All right, sure. So once a month, our employment specialist makes contact with the graduates of the program. And of course, one of our first questions would be, are you still employed? And if they are, and most, I don't, let me see. I think of those who have we have tracked for 9 months. I would say roughly off the top of my head, about 88% are still employed at the first position that we place. We have had to, things happen, and sometimes I can recall an incident where one of our graduates, you know, upon the during the monitoring process, she was just about to quit. She was fed up with her direct supervisor. And when the employment specialist got involved and made contact with the employer, it was determined that this particular supervisor had trouble with several other employees. And so our employment specialist, you know, negotiated with the owner of the company. I'm sorry, not the owner of the company, but the supervisor of the company, to put the person with in another position. So it's those types of things that we're doing that, you know, are helping with job retention. I want to make sure that I answer the question. I found that oftentimes folks who move out of poverty are sometimes reluctant. Yeah, we have found that as well. Sometimes, you know, once we place them, once they got the job, it's like, see you later, I'm working, you know, and it's hard to catch them. So yeah, we do run across that as well. Yeah, so it's kind of touch and go, but for the most part, you know, when we tell them, hey, we're here for you to, you know, if any trouble arises, if you're having any trouble with employment, if situations, if changes in your household, say for instance, and you know, there's a need for childcare that wasn't a need when you first got the job. We're able to address those issues as they come. So when we present it that way, and I must say, our employment specialist is a bubbly, just heartwarming person. I could not have chosen a better person for the position. So she really, I mean, she maintains a very personable relationship with most of the people that she has placed. So even those who have graduated and moved on, they will all call and, you know, say, hey, you know, just check in with her. Hey, I'm still working after the 9 months. So I'm proud to say that I believe that is, you know, in part because she has developed such a wonderful rapport with those that she has assisted.
Thank you again. I think these are great questions, and it is inspiring to hear the responses and the effect the program is having on the population that you're serving and just in the community at large. So we appreciate all that you're doing and all of our partners that have contributed specifically to this particular outcome.
Thank you.
So I think at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Melanie.
All right. Thank you so much, Tracy. As you can clearly see, your support is changing people's lives. Thank you again for making such significant investments into our work. Thank you again for dedicating your time, talent, and intellect to our work. I know we've said it before, but please hear us again. We simply could not do this without you. I know we hope you have been inspired to continue your support. If there's anything you ever need or anything you want to ask, please reach out to us. We are here to serve you and this community. Be on the lookout for a follow-up email from us today that will offer a few ways you can stay connected with United Way, including learning about and joining Women United. And attending one of our many events and meetings throughout the rest of the year, please stay tuned. The rest of 2023 is full of events to keep you up to date and inspired. We have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot to celebrate. We need your support and continued support. We cannot wait to see you again. Thank you again, everyone, and take care.